What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Welcome to A Case of the Mondays. I am Kristen Feemster. I'm a licensed therapist. I am a wellness coach. I talk about all things mental health, fitness, physical health, sports, athletics, all the things, just basically bridging the gap between mental and physical health in every way under the sun. It is my pleasure to be with you guys today. Welcome in, welcome in. We have things to get into. But if you are new here, if you are not new here, please drop in the chat. Let me know where you're joining in live from. And we are going to play a fun game, which I already have a couple of topics, but we are going to play a game that I like to play of asking ChatGPT to give us some health and wellness, some trending, popular health and wellness topics to get into for today. So let's get started with that. Okay, if you are, we have Dallas Fort Worth. Welcome in, Dewan. D. I see D. Hi, D. Welcome in. D, I don't think I've met you before. I'm Kristen. Hey, girl. I am Kristen. Welcome in. Can y'all hear me from my mic? Will somebody just confirm that my mic is working? I think it is. Welcome in. I have so many things to get into with you guys. But first, why is my password not working for my laptop? But first, I need us to check in. And if you're new here, I also like for us to all have to stay hydrated during the calls, right? So, So grab your water and stay hydrated with me. Welcome. I have been absent from my Instagram account since last week of going live. So I know Instagram does not like when you are not on Instagram. So I'm hoping that it notifies you guys and people in my broadcast channel that I am indeed live. Let me notify everybody in the ways that I can. Ooh. And we'll go from there. All right. Hi, you guys. Welcome. Let's see. GLP. If you are not, by the way, if you are not on my board of directors, that's who I'm messaging right now, just to make sure they know I'm live. GLP-1. Let's do it. And then how can I send my live to people? Okay, if you are here, let me know where you're joining in live from. Drop an emoji. Let me know what your questions are. I mean, what your mindset is like coming into today. I have some things that I kind of want to talk about. And if you are on my board of directors, if you were in my board of directors, I am embarking on a new season of content and a new season of using my expertise. I cannot wait to just not even really announce anything, but just embody the different things creatively that I want to do. So if you are an OG and you've been with me for a long time, I hope that you will rock with me as I make this transition. For frame of reference, a lot of the story of my life and a lot of the backdrop of the things that you all see me do is heavily connected to my life and my experiences as an athlete. And so that goes from just the discipline that you guys see, the inspiration that you guys get, the mindset, the stick-to-itness, the becoming an entrepreneur, the desire to help other people in community, the mindset, even my shortcomings, some of my perfectionism, some of my competitiveness, which could be good, but maybe comparison to a lot of what you guys see about me comes from me being an athlete. And I honestly feel like I'm a lifelong athlete. I don't feel like because I no longer play basketball, which was my sport, I played basketball in college and, through rec league, middle school, high school. Middle school, I started playing volleyball as well. And I played basketball, and then I had track eventually, I think, in high school. But throughout all of high school, I was a three-sport athlete. I was active and in not just in fitness, but an athlete. And I think that, can kind of, I know that that shapes the mindset that you have, that shapes the lifestyle that you're a part of. And I've been missing it. I will be honest with you guys. I've been missing just being able to speak the language of an athlete and be in the world of sports a little bit more. And like I say, I played three sports in high school, and then I went to college for basketball. And what most people ask you when you get done with your sport is, are you going to be a coach? Are you going to go play overseas? Are you going to go to the WNBA? They want to know how you're going to stay connected to the sport, because it is so very hard to just be like, okay, never mind, that's not a part of my life anymore. And so I was not one of the people that went pro in basketball. I have a lot of friends and colleagues that are coaches and referees. They're referees, they're coaches, they're maybe went on to play for a bit of time. And I was like, I think I want to just be a therapist. But I took a sports psychology class, and I, explored the different ways, that I could still be in the essence of who I am, and still be a therapist. You know what I mean? It's like I'm an athlete turned therapist. That's just kind of what I am. But the athlete part is still there. And so that over the course of my life, post graduation from undergrad and just going through my own post-career transition, which is a whole nother thing. If you're just joining in live here, I'm just setting you guys up for new content, new conversations that I want to begin to have on my platform. And it may or may not align with what you guys have seen so far. And so I hope that we can rock with this and kind of just, make this transition together. But long story short, I had my experience with alcohol addiction. And that really changed, the way my life was structured. It really was related to post-career challenges that I was having. And so what you see today is my life in recovery. You hear me talking about sleeping well, eating well, moving well, taking care of your stress. All of those are elements of your recovery, things that you absolutely need to live well. And as I have lived a life of recovery and promoted that to the larger public, that this isn't just for alcoholics and drunks, this is for everybody. Everybody needs a little bit of, the habits that I have. It's almost like now the graduation is, now that you have gotten your life back online, for lack of a better term, back on track, back in sync, back routine. And this is a beautiful aspect of being consistent, is that once you become consistent and you can kind of trust yourself with a certain lifestyle, you then free yourself up to think about more. When you're still just fighting for the basics, it's really hard to think about more, And so where I'm at, hi, welcome in, you guys. Feel free to say hello. I see, let me stop and say, hey, Shalanta. Shalanta, do you have a new name? But hi. Welcome in. I wish I could just like y'all's comments when y'all come in, but welcome. I see some familiar names. So what was I saying? So yes, my story in addiction, it wasn't a detour. I think it really has enhanced what I'm called to do, but it was also something that I think was supposed to add to, what I'm doing and where I'm headed now. And I feel so good about it, you guys. I feel so good about the direction and how this season has prepared me. And I'm really coming to terms with it in real time, where my voice is needed and what I want to do. So I don't want to share too much about like the ins and outs of it, but if this is a live of just remembering who you are. Like once you get to a point where you can trust yourself, where you can get through hard things, you can troubleshoot, you have a solid support system, the different things that you need, you really can revisit or enhance things that you feel like you may have missed or that you did miss. And so for me, as I have worked to have a voice here on social media and with my platform, it has been super broad. It's just been any and everybody can move, any and everybody should eat well, which is true, but it hasn't included my identity as an athlete. And I feel tied to some of the dialogue that's happening in sports. I feel like I'm like, oh, they're speaking my language, because it is a different language. It's just so weird to kind of explain it. It's just a different language. It's like becoming bilingual, and then you start using your secondary language more. And then you go home and then everybody's speaking your native language and you're like, oh my God, like this is, you can do both, but you always have that primary language that you speak. And so I'm excited about, what I love about this is that I'm still in the realm of physical health, physical performance, fitness, sports, athletics, still in that lifestyle of it, and also still very much so in the mental health and the mindset and, the things that come along with the, with my two passions. You know what I mean? It's just taking it from like level 1, level 2, up to level 10. So you guys, I want you guys down for the ride. This is kind of like a behind the scenes live, I guess you could say. Only a few will know about this, whoever joins the lives, and however I share. I may share behind the scenes on my page, on my story, but I've had some great opportunities come up for me to be a voice for mental health in the world of sports and in the world of athletics and in the world of fitness. But I also think that my voice is being called up. Does that make sense to y'all? Am I making sense? Am I making sense here? Are y'all following what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I'm excited to start dipping my toe in that. And I already have been, honestly. I think I'm excited to embody that more on my platform, in all the things that I do. All right. So let's see. I'm up for questions. I'm up for comments, whatever you guys have for me today. I still want to be a coach of the people, but I am thinking about how to advance my knowledge and my skill set, my expertise in the space of mental and physical health. And so if you start to see behind the scenes of that, if you start to see me talking about that more, it is all coming from the same space and the same heart, just on a different level, in a different way. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Definitely looking forward to it. Let's see. We have Predna. Hi, hello. And Ernest from Miami in the house. And then Shalanta. I see some other familiar names. I won't shout y'all out until y'all speak. Now I see people I know on here. Y'all better speak. Make yourselves known. So where I'm hoping that this goes, where I'm hoping that some of our conversations go, some of my lives go, is it's a case of the Mondays, okay? It's a case of the Mondays. We're always going to be getting our lives together. But however, I love when we chit chat about mental health and culture, mental health and fitness and culture more, right? So that I have a couple of topics actually that I want to write down so that I don't forget them. But a little bit more of a commentary vibe. Yes, I remember you, Brenda. Of course I remember you. Absolutely. I pay attention. That's one thing people don't realize about therapists. We track very well. You track, yeah, that's just a skill that you learn of remembering things. And yeah, it's a gift, honestly. But think about it. Like if you're a therapist and you're seeing anywhere from 4 people to 15 people on any given week, or maybe even more than that. Lord, God bless the people that are doing more than that, because it's just a lot. It's a lot to talk to 15 people every week, 15 stories, 15 situations, 15 solutions and suggestions and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot. But some people see 20, 30 people a week. And so as you become more refined in your craft, you do remember people's lives. You know what I'm saying? Like it helps to really get to know the person. And so especially here on the live, like if you join my lives, you could join anybody's live. You could be doing anything with your time. I absolutely try to remember people. Um, and do not even trying, but I just remember stuff. I remember stuff. And Prerna, I hope you had a great experience in the movement challenge. I saw you tapping in on some of the posts during that challenge. So I hope that was what you needed it to be. But let me see. I want to type down my topic so I don't forget. What really kind of inspired this is, well, I don't want to say inspired it, but a great example of the direction that I want to go, being a therapist, being certified in personal training, certified in nutrition coaching, and my experience as an athlete is to talk about more topics that are going on in the sports and athletics world that are pertaining to mental health. We are seeing it. We are seeing it. And I think we are having conversations about it, but I don't know if I hear a lot of strong voices that are knowledgeable about what to do within that to create change. So there's one thing to just talk about something from a topical, it would be good if, and how important something is. And it's another thing like, okay, let's think finance. It's one thing to talk about, oh, saving your money is good. Paying your taxes is great. We've all got to do that. It's important. Well, the taxes part, are we paying taxes this month? I don't know. Or this year? I don't know. But money, it's good to manage your money well. You got to save. You don't want to be a crazy spender. Anybody could say that and everybody would agree. Yes, yes, yes. We do that with mental health. We say mental health is important. You got to take care of yourself. You got to make sure that But then it's just like, okay, so how are we doing that? How do you save money? What is step 101 to saving money? What is step 2 to saving money? And most people that are kind of like, oh, it's good that you did, they would be like, well, first you would put aside a certain amount of money. And it's just like, okay, well, how are you coming to that certain side? And that's where people start fading off in the how-tos and the knowing, because not everybody can coach you that far. Not everybody has a knowledge that far. I feel like the same thing happens with sports and with athletics. And to be honest with you, sidebar, with the church and Christianity around mental health. They're good for it's good, and you just got to think better, and you just got to handle your depression. But once it gets to a certain level, it's just like crickets. Nobody really knows what they're talking about. However, there are people like me, yours truly, who have that skill set. And I think that God is calling me to not forget that, and to not underestimate that, and to not overlook that by way of, other journeys that I've been on up until this point. So this is almost like a remembering of things that I want to get back to for my life. And it may not include the same things that I've been putting forth up until this point, but I hope you guys are down for the ride. I hope that so much. So if you're just joining in, welcome to A Case of the Mondays, where we get our lives together one Monday at a time. We distract to get through our Monday. For the next hour. I am coming off of, just an update for me, I'm coming off of a high from the Super Bowl. Well, not the game. The Super Bowl game was, that was that was that was a journey. Yeah, we had to just stick with it. The game was not very good. I kind of felt that from the beginning. I do watch football. I'm aware. I could add a little more depth to my knowledge with football, but I do watch football. And I love commentary around stuff. Like, even if I don't know anything about what's going on, I love a good chit chat about what's going on. So I'll probably watch more commentary on stuff than I do the actual content itself, to be honest with you. But I did know, I want to say one or both of those teams are very strong defensively. And so anytime that happens with any sport, honestly, you can expect that the score is going to be very low, you know, like unless that team is just really profound and like both sides to where it just doesn't matter, which I didn't get that feel from the way the quarterbacks were relatively new to the stage and all those things. I was like, not saying they're not going to hold it down, but it was just kind of like, I don't know if they're going to do, if it's going to be all that entertaining. And so that first, did anybody else watch the Super Bowl? Am I by myself on this? See, this is what I'm talking about. Sports and things like that. Can we have that conversation here? Yeah, so the first couple of minutes, I want to say like first 4 or 5 minutes, there was a bunch of sacks going on and throwing the ball out of bounds because they were about to get tackled. And I was like, oh yeah, this is probably, I would be surprised if anybody actually gets to the end zone. And of course, it was like 3-point conversions over and over and over again. Not 3-point conversions, field goals. Several of them back to back from the Seahawks. And then they started scoring a little bit, but I am coming off the high of Bad Bunny's halftime performance. I just felt, I don't speak Spanish. I do know Bad Bunny songs. But I'm just saying, I wasn't like, I can't wait to like say every word and know every song. But it was such a moment and it represented so much joy and just feel good, like energy. And you can just imagine what it's like for somebody to get up there on that type of stage with all this other stuff going on around them. And to perform, it just symbolizes so much about resilience and finding joy despite the circumstances. And so I thoroughly enjoyed that performance. Even being out of the loop, I'll say I'm out of the loop, but sometimes you got to be out of the loop. You know where else I felt out of the loop? When I have taken my American butt over to Greece, when I've taken my American butt to Jamaica, to any other country besides this one. If you're not careful, you can get very boxed into your way of normal and your lifestyle that you forget that other people live differently. They're not so consumed with the same things that America is consumed with and by, and they're not checking for you. So yes, we're doing the whole performance in Spanish. What's it to you? Get with it. Like I'm like, yes, I love, and I know Puerto Rico is a part of the United States and a part of America. You know what I'm saying? I get that, but it's just the concept that we can't fully wrap our head around, that Bad Bunny will perform in all Spanish. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. Everything that it stood for, I thoroughly enjoyed. Welcome, you guys. If you were just joining in, I'm going live for a case of the Mondays. I have not been on Instagram since last Monday. So hi. And we are just going through some topics. I don't know. I've been updating my board of directors, if you're on here, about some of the directions I'm going with my platform. I'm super excited about it. And we are testing out some of this content today. Bad Bunny was kind of a part of it, but really one thing that I noticed during the game that I do want to talk about is a conversation we've had before. And this is not a shade to people on GLP-1s. I just continue to have like a different lens that I'm looking through with the Serena Williams cosign of GLP-1s and the Row app and these commercials. And I don't know if it's just my own personal relationship with weight loss and weight loss drugs and, my own championing of lifestyle changes first, and getting back to the basics of life, medication or not. I do have clients that are on GLP-1s. I have clients both on the therapy and the coaching side that are on GLP-1s. So it's not that I am necessarily like, get that out of my face. I'm never going to have a conversation about it. I do work with people who are on them, but I'll be honest with you. The conversation, almost immediately goes back to, okay, so the medication is working to a certain extent, but what are you going to do to change your habits around the medication? It's almost like somebody being on blood pressure medication, and the medication is bringing their blood pressure down, but it's like, okay, but yeah, Like, are you going to cut down on the sugar? Are you going to manage your stress? I mean, not the sugar, on the sodium. Like, what are you going to do? Because the medication is the one that's bringing you down. And so once you get off of the medication, what do you want to experience? And so that happens across the board. Therapy clients, we're working on their emotional attachment to food. My coaching clients, we are working on their lifestyle routine and setups to help them make better food choices. And so there's still work to be done regardless. And I just feel like the promotion of the GLP-1s and the way that it's coming across, particularly with Serena, because I feel like there's more to that testimony than just the GLP-1s. That's where I feel like it's a mismanagement of her voice, her platform. She did not just take the GLP-1s and not deal with anything else that has to do with her health and wellness. Okay, let's talk about how, or let's provide resources for people who need a therapist to figure it out. I know of people who will go off of the GLP-1 because they want to be able to eat more. You know what I'm saying? That's not something that's mental. You guys, that is mental health. If I've never seen it before, for someone to say there's a solution for me and I take breaks from it because I want to be able to self-soothe in the way that I'm used to. And so I go off of it to do that and then I go back on. That's a mental health concern. You know what I mean? Not in a diagnosable way, maybe so, but that's a disordered eating behavior, 100%. And so what I don't like about how Serena has been propped up is that she's just harping on this GLP-1. And I'm like, that's not the whole story for you. As a Black woman that has been scrutinized underneath the pressures of the standard beauty, the beauty standards, of our society. And as a Black woman, a curvaceous woman, a woman that has been an athlete and now you're not, that's a whole body adjustment in and of itself, probably some body dysmorphia going on, losing muscle mass. Like, you got a whole lot of body stuff going on, you guys, when you stop playing a sport that you're used to just being super active. And especially if she struggled with her weight, she says, while playing and then coming off. And then now look at how she's looking, y'all. There are so many mental health things to check along that way. And the road commercials just like, hey, I did this. And then, the weight started. If y'all have seen the commercials, like, I did this, I did that. And then the weight, and they show this little number of the weight just kind of, I lost 1 pound, 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 4 pounds. And it just keeps going down, 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 down until she lost 32 pounds. And it's just like, that's not all that is going on with you. And so I know it's a marketing thing. I just wish that Serena was telling the whole story about her journey to getting to where she is. And if she doesn't have a whole story, then it's a little premature. That's another thing I think people do, is that as soon as they get some results, they want to become the spokesperson for something that they have not even sat with for long enough to really know, like, oh shoot, maybe I spoke a little too soon. Case in point, every 10 to 15 years, y'all, if you are an OG here, you've heard me say this, every 10 to 15 years, there is a new wave of diet culture that comes over our society. Okay. Cigarettes was one of them. Methamphetamine was another one. Like girdles was another one. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all kinds of stuff. We had the Atkins diet of the 90s, and we had the keto diet after that. And then, like, there's another wave of diet and a pursuit of some sort of body change that comes over. And then what you find is that 50 years later, people are like, you know what? Prescribing methamphetamines to lose weight in the 60s probably wasn't the best idea. Smoking cigarettes, recommending in commercials for people. Let me look this up. Recommending people to smoke cigarettes in order to lose weight in the 1920s, that wasn't a good idea. That wasn't smart. You know what I'm saying? But here we are with the next weight loss drug, and everybody's just like, I'm not saying it's not good. I'm just saying sometimes we got to hold back our testimony, especially if you're trying to make money off of it. You have a responsibility. And let me see if I can find cigarette ads for weight loss in history. Let's see. I've done a whole little presentation on this before. It was starting in the 1920s, cigarette companies led by Lucky Strike, launched campaigns explicitly marketing cigarettes for weight loss to women, capitalizing on slender fashion trends. The famous 1928 slogan, "Reach for a Lucky instead of a Sweet," positioned smoking as a way to avoid fattening foods, resulting in 300% sale increase. You guys, yes, I'm about to show y'all this. It's crazy. Let me see if I can get to. Oh man, I wish I could get to it a little easier. You know how, uh, it's not big enough. I need just like a big, um, man. Let me see if I can find this. Are y'all familiar with this? Are y'all aware of this? Am I telling y'all something you don't know? Maybe you know about it from me. I need to make this bigger. Gosh, I can't make it bigger. Okay, let's see. Y'all see that? That says, when you are tempted, reach for a cigarette. Lucky is a cigarette. Reach for a Lucky instead of a Sweet. That's a weight loss commercial ad. Yeah, whole campaign, right? So we really have to be careful what we are championing. Oprah, the same thing. Oprah, the same thing. But we're focused on how it's showing up in fitness and wellness and in sport with our athletes. And so I specifically wanted to talk about Serena, but Oprah is the same way. Oprah did the same thing. Let's look that up. Oprah did the same thing. Y'all see how Oprah has been promoting the GLP-1s and the weight loss and exercising and stuff? Oprah did the same thing on her talk show back in the early 90s, where she came out with the amount of fat she had lost on a wagon, in a red wagon, on her talk show, talking about how much weight she had lost. And eventually Oprah came back and said that as soon as she got off the stage, one, she was ill, she was not well, and she also gained all the weight back. I can't remember what diet she was on. I want to say it was like a all juice diet or something. And y'all, it's not that you're not going to lose weight on this stuff. It's just like you're trying to capitalize. Here we go. There goes Oprah. Y'all see that? So when I see these commercials during the Super Bowl, I think Mike Tyson had a um commercial too, but I missed his commercial. But y'all gotta really be that's my issue with how it's handled, is that you guys are not telling the whole story. Oprah went up there, made all that money, shifted the culture, and then gained her 20 pounds right back, because it's not sustainable. And you're not addressing the larger issues with people who are celebrity, people who are performers, who have to take strenuous, extreme measures in order to be good enough for their job. And it just trickles down into the regular society. And so now Serena has come out. And what was especially, I guess, lack of a better term, triggering for me was trying to normalizing the shot taking process. Did y'all notice that? Does anybody know what commercial I'm talking about? Let me know if I'm if I'm boring you, let me know. But let me know if this is making sense. Um, the commercial, she is taking the shot on the commercial, and it's just a lot. I don't know if it's just me being in recovery, and certain types of drug taking behavior can kind of be a little sensitive to me. I wasn't a drug taker, but I just know what that type of association does. And so that's in the commercial too. And what they do with that is they normalize the process so that it's not so scary to you. Because let's be honest, I don't go around poking myself. Like, that's when I get a shot at the doctor and that's it. Right? When I give blood, and that's it. You know what I mean? But you have to do that every week when you're on GLP-1. If I'm not mistaken, at least with some of them, it's a weekly thing. Maybe more frequent than that. And it could be less than that, but there is a cadence of that in the GLP-1 process. And so normalizing that in the commercial and showing how much weight you're going to lose and all these struggles that are kind of on the curb tails of being an athlete, I just think it's a mismanagement of the challenges that athletes typically have with their bodies during their sport and after their sport. And so it's like, who's having that conversation? Who's talking about that? That will be me from now on. But, up until this point, I think it's a responsibility of the people who are having these conversations to really dig deep and be honest if they're going to promote something. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about, this is the last thing. And then, of course, you guys feel free to chime in. Rickea Jackson. Rickea Jackson is a former Tennessee women's basketball player. I have some personal ties to Lady Vols, the Lady Vols women's team. My coach in college, Kelly Harper, she was Kelly Jolly when she played, but Kelly Harper played at the University of Tennessee under Pat Summitt. And so she has also coached there. I know of people who have worked under that umbrella of University of Tennessee. But anyway, Rickea Jackson, I think she graduated maybe 2 years ago, and she's in the WNBA. And over the weekend, I want to say, a story broke about how her ex-boyfriend was arrested for stalking her. So it's domestic violence hovering thing. But at least stalking. I mean, you could suspect there's more to the story for sure. But this is a stalking charge. And maybe a domestic violence because I believe he ran his car into her car. Definitely some property stuff, all kinds of stuff. But when we think domestic violence, we think, hand to skin, punching or strangling, that sort of thing. But domestic violence really can include a lot of different things. So, yeah, that's the thing. So for me, I just felt very saddened by it, of course, but also challenged. When I'm telling you guys about the conversations I want to have, challenged because I worked for a period of time as an interpersonal violence counselor at a college campus. And mind you, Rickea is not in college anymore. But I have an understanding as a marriage and family therapist, how these domestic violence dynamics go, and the reality is that most people do not leave a domestic violence relationship on the first time. So this could be the first time, this could be the fourth time, but the likelihood of it being the last time is very slim, and that's unfortunate. I hope that it is, but it is very hard to leave a toxic relationship. And I just think about the pressure that's there. Rickea is playing during the unrivaled basketball season right now. So WNBA is off season, but she is actively playing. She's got brand deals. She's got other things that she's doing. And can you just imagine going through that type of situation in your quote unquote free time and then having to show up and perform and look put together and have it all together and play and answer questions after the games and pretend like nothing's wrong, when if that situation made it to the public knowledge, you can best bet that there are issues within that relationship that have been going. We don't know the culprits all involved or whatever, but you can best bet that is not the first time something has escalated onto that level. And just to think about the expectation for her to mentally shut that part down and to show up anyway. And how many celebrities and people we put on pedestals and we wonder why they're not playing well, or we wonder why they're, I'm missing her name, but the tennis player that has, what's her name? I'm forgetting her name. That's not good. She's one of the best. People who are stepping away from the sport due to their mental health. It's because it's a tall order. It is a tall order to ask someone to put all of that to the side and just play. And I think the more that teams and organizations play into that, the more toxic it becomes, because then you really are avoiding your feelings and avoiding your mental health for the sake of your sport. And we all know where that leads, And so what happens is Naomi Osaka, that's her name. Yes, Naomi. Thank you, Shalanta. Yes, I was about to call her Nasaka, and I was like, I know it's not Nasaka. Let me look it up. I was seeing her first and last name together. Yeah, Naomi. I think even Coco has had some things. I mean, I literally think that it's not about who has been affected, it's about who has publicly shared that they have been affected, you know? And so Rickea is having to go through, as a young, impressionable young woman, 20, 20, 22, 23, let's see how old she is, having to go through this entire relationship situation with so many commentators, I guess myself included, talking about what she's 24, talking about what she should and shouldn't do. She's got this boyfriend. Y'all know the stronghold that your boyfriend when you were 23, 22 had on, like not even in a bad way, but we know what that's like. You know what I'm saying? To have to deal with that at that age, you know, under the public eye, under the public eye, and where my head goes is like, who is in her corner teaching her, not telling her what to do, but teaching her how to navigate this type of relationship, period. I have, I can't, share details or whatever, but I have worked with parents before and students. Like when I was the interpersonal violence on teaching them, you are not going to be able to tell someone to no more than I can tell y'all to stop eating fast food when I tell y'all to stop eating fast food. If I tell you right now, stop eating fast food, are y'all to stop? No. Y'all are going to be like, yeah, okay, well, how can I eat it every now and then, but not be so impacted by it? You want to know how to do it. You know what I'm saying? Not whether you should stop or not. So that's probably not a good comparison, but it's relevant. People in challenging, volatile relationships are not going to necessarily take heed to a direct, it's time for you to leave. You got to get out of there. Or, you got to teach them how to have better relationships. You know what I'm saying? You got to break down, here are the red flags. Here are the green flags. Here's what to do if this red flag shows up. Here's how to set boundaries. Here's how to, sometimes you may be helping someone as a therapist. Sometimes we're helping someone to show up healthier in an unhealthy relationship, like how to keep yourself safe as you work towards better self-worth, self-esteem, support, resources to actually exit maybe even a year or 2 years from now. Sometimes that's our goal. Is like, okay, I know this person is not leaving just because they started therapy with me, but let me see what layers we need to pull back around the relationships they saw growing up, the childhood that they had overall, their track record with attachment style and relationships that they choose. Let's go ahead and start unpacking all of that. And slowly but surely, that person comes to their own realization about the relationship that they're in. And so, what I am concerned about for Rickea is that because it's so public, it's going to be like that pressure that was on Rihanna. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just kind of like, well, why aren't you where we want you to be because of this? Da, 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 da. You're in the public eye. You should be. And it's just like, but if it were any other person, there would be a long process around getting them to mentally wrap their head around needing to leave. And I think studies show that that's like 7 times, seven leaving 7 times before it actually sticks on average. And that's on average. So yes, there's probably one or two people who, people who leave on the first, second, third time. But that average means that there's also people who are at 19 and 20 before they leave. So you really have to just kind of understand, what's all at play there. And unfortunately, she's not going to get that same grace that someone who's not on a public platform will get. And he's not going to get the same grace that someone in a private space would get as an aggressor either. And there is rehabilitation for aggressors. There are different categories of domestic violence relationships. Okay. So we have to play that. We have to make sure we're clear on that. But the public eye doesn't really think about all that. They think about a one case scenario type of relationship and they just, let that be it as far as the male being the aggressor, the woman being the victim, and they don't think about anything else. That is the most common one, but there are mutual aggressor relationships. There are situations where the woman is the primary aggressor or the aggressor. You know what I mean? And then there's relationships where it's not even about who's aggressive physically, it's about power and control with finances or emotional abuse, or the stalking is kind of it's not non-traditional, but it's an example of how it can all get a little tricky to just say, why don't you just leave, and so yeah, I think it's an interesting relationship, a dynamic, and what I see as being a concern is how publicly she's gonna have to like navigate this with hopefully proper support, but you never really know. You never really know about that. But my first recommendation for her would to be to get with a trusted professional who can hear her out and walk her through where she is in her process, because the national stage is going to want her to forget this overnight and be moving on already. And she's got games to play. Let's see where Unrivaled is playing right now. I think the season just started. Unrivaled is a 3-on-3 league that goes during the off season, and they have 1-on-1 too, I think. Let's see. It's 3-on-3. Let's see. When do they start? Unrivaled is a new league. Last winter. Let's see when but it's been popular. It's been a hit. Let's see, when did the season start this year? I can't find it. But anyway, they are in the season right now. And so, how do you show up? How do you bypass what, the commentators are saying about your situation and show up and play? That is something that everybody has to figure out. All these people have to figure out in real time. Um, So yeah, all right, you guys. That is all I have for today. We're at our time. What questions do you guys have? Any comments? Anything? What did you think about this type of conversation today? I don't know if it was helpful to you or just eye-opening in some sort of way. Thank you all for being here for my journey in this space of bridging the gap of mental health and fitness, in all the ways that it shows up. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to kind of embark on some of these things and have more conversations around this and more opportunities around some of this. And so I will be back next week. Next week is, I don't know what that date is, but February 16th at 12 p.m. I would love to have you guys join me. Make sure that you subscribe, turn your notifications on, all that good stuff so that you don't miss me next week. And we will just keep on moving, okay? If I have any of my OGs on here, what types of content, I want to ask you guys, what kinds of content would you like to continue seeing me do? So we know I'm transitioning. We know I'm doing a little something different in totality, but that doesn't mean that I'm just disappearing from anything. It means I'm just adding more to my repertoire, But what types of content would you all like to see? What would you hope that would stay and want to see more of in regards to what I've talked about today, or just in what I usually put out? I'm definitely going to be tiptoeing more over onto YouTube, so that's definitely a thing. And so yeah, that's a thing as well. But I'm curious. I'm always curious kind of what you guys would like to see from me and to be helpful. You know what I mean? All right, let's see. Any input? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Don't say I never asked y'all now. And I am messaging somebody back in the B3 crew. I don't know if you're on here. No, I don't think you're on here. Um, but there we go. Thank you all. Thank you all for being on here. I will be back next week. I hope this helped you get through your lunch break or your day, your morning meeting, a little bit easier. And we will just keep this conversation going. And I will talk to you guys next week. Okay. All right, guys. Take care. Bye.